Hey everybody, it's a beautiful, what is today? Today, I'll get it right in a moment. What is the date today? The day. I know it's the 23rd of October because tomorrow is the 24th, and of course that's Independence Day, but it also brings to a grinding halt the finale of the Icon Zambia, and I'm looking forward to that. It's been a very tense several months in trying to ascertain which one person will emerge as victorious in that singing competition. And I would encourage you, whoever you are, wherever you're from, you need to be part of that Icon Zambia. The talent is so palpable. The anticipation is so tangible. You can literally reach out and touch it and grab it with your hands. We're all very excited about that competition. So you should be part of that. Bo Allen. Thank you, Bo. Hey, everybody, please hop on. Come on by. I'm over here at Simoson Building. I'm in my little office here, and there is no power, just so you know. I'm using the natural light that's coming, it's emanating through my window, and my office overlooks City Market. So I'm doing two things. I'm using natural light, and I'm using a tiny little bit of a filter just to give it a bit of splash, just so that you can hear me. And what I really would love to hear you say, first of all, is, am I loud and clear? Is this broadcast, are you within the sound of my voice? And if you are, please just type it in the comment section there. Susan, I see you. John English, good morning. SML TV, good morning to you. Bless you. Today, I'm early this time. Samson Soko says you're early. Thank you for being with me. Incidentally, again, please share this broadcast if you can. It's always a good idea. They always tell you this. Share the broadcast. Get a few people on here that you think might be interested in this type of conversation. And these are issues that concern the trajectory of our country. And the court of public opinion is a very strong court. And I think that we should all tap into that reality. Of course, you'll always have certain people that would jump on and say, no, mwewa, don't talk about that. There was a time, and I remember it vividly, where you couldn't talk about things like this. You could not speak in opposition to opposition of people like ECL and lungu's compadres, the PF. You can talk against them because there would be retribution. There would be reprisal like you have never seen. There would be judgment on you and everything you stand for. They would obliterate you for a comment that you would make, especially in this spot that I work and sort of operate from, Simoson Building. And I often tell you the story of how this was in 2021, 3 months before the general elections. This is a common story. It's Gary Nkombo has shared this story on his platform. I remember once there was a thing over there at Kulima Tower. There was a function there, and he told this story on stage. So I don't want you thinking that I'm revealing anything that was supposed to be held in private or in secret. But I'm trying to make a point, is that 3 months before the elections in 2021, Gary approached me and he said to me, he said, look, Simon, there's some stuff we need to talk about. And we met at some undisclosed location. And he began to tell me that we want you, Simon, we want you, mwewa, to run for mayor of the city on the UPND ticket. I looked at Gary and I said, Gary, first of all, I'm honored. I am honored and I'm flattered that the leadership of this party would consider me in such a favorable light. I said, I'm honored. But the price that I would have to pay would be too high. And I said to Gary, I said, Gary, we're about 15 minutes away from my office. Because where we met was about 15 minutes away from Simoson. I said, Gary, if I announced on my social platform that I am now the UPND candidate for mayor, the moment I announce it, by the time I get to Simoson in Abocha, in full view of the police, and the police would have done nothing. PF cadres would have stormed my office, torched me alive in this building, and they would have destroyed this building with their eyes wide open. I said, Gary, as much as I love you and I appreciate everything you're trying to do, I said, Gary, that's a price that's too high for me to pay. And I don't feel that I have to pay that type of price. And I graciously turned it down. I said, Gary, I'm sorry. I'm not willing to go back to a legacy that is torn down to the ground. You know, my father worked too hard to do this, and it would be irresponsible for me to do that in the face of the type of people we are dealing with. NPF, the notorious Patriotic Front. You don't know how brutal they were because you didn't live under that brutality. You don't know how cruel they were because you were not a victim. You don't know. So I turned it down. And the reason I said all of that is to demonstrate to you that we are able to talk about the lungu and the PF now because there was a time we couldn't. There was a time if we did, there would be hell to pay. And honey, there was hell to pay. So every opportunity I get to talk against that regime, those vagabonds, that violent brood of vipers, I take it. And I will do it on this platform because there was a time, just a simple whisper, it put us in problems. I'll never, and I keep telling you this story. I'll never forget the story of when my uncle, Nevis Mumba, was incarcerated in Mwembeshi. So I had gone to see him, you know, I took him some food and things. And while we were there, HH pulled up. This was before HH became president. He was the leader of the UPND. He was not president at that time. He pulled up with his entourage, a few people, you know, it wasn't big. It wasn't a big crowd. It was just a couple of cars, you know. And I took some food from my uncle. And while we were standing outside, I decided to approach HH. And I said, Mr. Hichilema, do you mind if I take a photograph with you? And he was always gracious to me. He turned to me and said, oh, well, hi, how are you? Sure, let's do that. Let's take a picture. So I take a picture. And then I posted it on my page. And the caption was, I went to see my uncle and look who I met while I was there. OMG. OMG. PF cadres came right in this office, in this very room. And you know, the PF used to feel, and I don't know where they got this boldness from. They felt that Simoson was their stomping ground. And I constantly had to remind them. I would always say, look, this is a private business. You have no say whatsoever over the. They used to burst in here, you know. If my PA, my private assistant, my personal assistant, would say to PF cadres, oh no, he's doing something, he's in a meeting, they would always just barge in. Meeting and then they would walk into my office. Now tomorrow post a piece. picture ulina HH. So tweve, are you with him or Judicial? Plan to tell us so that we know how to engage you. Just tell us if you are supporting him, because we've never heard you condemn him. You've never outrightly condemned him. So just tell us the truth. Are you with him or are you with us? I went through great pains to try to explain to these PF. There were like 15 of them in my office. Great pains to try to explain to them that, look, it's just a photograph. Yo, picture kwisa. Remove that photograph, mwewa. Do it now before we leave your office. Otherwise, we are going to engage you. We'll take you as an opponent. Or as they used to say, an opponent. We shall regard you as an opponent. Remove that picture. So I'm giving you that background to demonstrate to you that the reason, in particular myself, the reason I love to bash the NPF is because for so long they would come and torment me, and I had to just look at them and just act like it was okay. But inside I was dying. Inside I was furious. Inside my heart was burning with rage. And so when they left, and I'm sitting here, I love to rail into them. I love it. All right, let's talk about two things. First of all, the three PF factions. As you know, the notorious Patriotic Front has been literally split into three different components, three different moving parts. The first one is headed by Miles Asampa, who legally is the leader of that faction, that political party, albeit a faction. The second leader is EDGAR Lungu, who is the leader of the notorious Patriotic Front. Miles is the leader of the new Patriotic Front. They're all NPF. They're just different names. Miles heads the NPF, the new Patriotic Front, while Lungu heads the NPF, the notorious Patriotic Front. And then you've got Chabinga, who's now heading the NPF, the novice Patriotic Front. Okay? So those are the three factions. Now, let's be clear. Miles Sampa is actually in a lot of trouble. You remember those 9 MPs he expelled from the PF. Those guys are not happy with Miles. Now, if in fact there is a by-election, if in fact those seats are declared vacant in Parliament, first of all, Miles does not have the financial capability, he doesn't have the political dexterity, and he doesn't have the political endurance to deliver 9 new PF MPs after these chaps have been dismissed. He doesn't have it. Where is he going to draw the resources to supply and to fund 9 vacant seats? Where would he get the money? I can tell you now, Miles Sampa's NPF is cash strapped and it's hanging by a string. And anyone who offers Miles any type of alternative, monetary alternative, see what I did right there? Anybody that offers Miles Sampa monetary alternatives, Miles is gonna sop it up like a biscuit, boy. You know why? Because he's cash strapped. He's politically impotent. He doesn't have a leg to stand on. He doesn't have the financial prowess to fall back on. He doesn't have the monetary muscle to pull it off. And in any case, even though legally, in terms of paper, in terms of documents, even though Miles is the legitimate leader of that party. On the ground, Miles does not have the electoral prowess and the electoral connection with the grassroots of that party. He simply doesn't have it. If Miles were to run, if he were to go and hold a rally, kwa kanyama, kulia kuine kulia kwa kanyama kulia, ngati engire mu rally, who's going to show up? I can count them on 2 fingers. I can tell you the number of people that would show up at a Miles Sampa rally on 2 fingers. Okay? And that's the truth. I'm not hating. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay? So it just goes to show you how complex the dichotomy or the dichotomy of the PF, the duplicity of the PF, the double standard, the splinter quality of the PF. They don't have a leg to stand on. And so now in terms of grassroots support, of course, we know who has, in terms of PF grassroots support. Okay, let's be clear, because I know in Zambia, when you say that, they'll say, hey, Chachi, no, listen. In terms of PF grassroots support, meaning I'm a members of our PF, in terms of the numbers who support a person more than anyone, it is ECL. ECL has more PF grassroots support than any of these, whether it's Miles or Bachabinga. So because of that, Miles Sampa shooting in the dark. He's just like Filaba Bakambuli Baleranda, Ukuriakubuta. Bare angala mulu bansa. Wale pepekanamu, it's Tom and Jerry. Fidel toilet tamba kuwaiche. Bare angala fie. Okay? That's the issue. So the bottom line is this, and this is the bottom line. The trajectory that the 3 factions of the PF are on is so self-destructive, it is so self-implosive, that in the end, ultimately, that whole thing's going to crumble. Because what's going to end up happening is in 2026, if indeed Miles does not offload his faction for monetary purposes, see what I did right there? If he doesn't do that, and he finds himself on that ballot, where is he going to get the money to operate a nationwide campaign during 2026? He won't have it. What's going to happen is that every once in a while, you'll see him on social media. He'll go to Matero, he'll go to that John General's cult, that sick church called John General. He'll go to those guys. John General and his posse might give Miles a platform. If anything, if Miles talks to the people in Matero, the largest crowd he will ever have is the crowd of that cult, of that crazy church. Okay? John General's vagabonds and his child molesters, So all of that. And then, but if you say to me, would Miles have a rally, a big rally in Monze or Kasempa or kwa Kasomo, Kuchinsari, kwa Budimbo, where can it happen? It can't. So Miles is a missile that has no boom. That's what it. In the military, they used to call those. What do you call a missile that you launch a missile, but when it lands, it doesn't explode? What do you call that? There's a phrase for that. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what that is. There's a phrase for that. There's when you launch a missile, and it hits the target, but that's right, a dud. Jonathan, that's right. Jonathan Zulu's got it. A dud. It's called a dud. You launch a missile, it hits the target, but it doesn't explode. That's miles. Okay? And because of that, we run the risk in this country of conducting a 2026 election with no credible opposition. That's dangerous for democracy. Oh, hear me, brothers and sisters, boys and girls. That is dangerous for democracy. We need a viable, active, vibrant opposition to counter the efforts of the ruling party. Very important. So, but the issue here is that we must, as a people, we must demand better. Let's not sit on the sidelines and twiddle our thumbs and tiptoe through the tulips and sing Kumbaya. Demand better. Demand better. All right. All right. Secondly, let's talk about the JCC, the Judicial Complaints Commission. Now, in order for you to understand the debacle and the dismissal of these three judges, you first of all have to understand what JCC is. Because some of you, because if you don't read, you just think that HH wakes up in the morning and says, just remove them. Mr. President, why? I don't know. Just, I feel like it. It's in my spirit to just dismiss those chaps. That is how some of you view this issue. You think HH has dismissed those judges willy-nilly, at a whim, at the drop of a hat, when you don't know the intricate nuances of that decision is based on the law. Let's go through it. Okay. Again, let me say, if you don't understand the role of JCC, you will not understand the dismissal of these three judges. Let's go through it. The JCC, the Judicial Complaints Commission here in Zambia, is established under Article 236 of the Constitution. And its primary role, its primary function, is to enforce the Code of Conduct of Judges, the Code of Conduct for judges and judicial officers, ensuring that they are accountable for their actions. That's the role of the JCC. It's constitutional based. It's the law. Okay? In other words, if the judges fall out of line, if the judges are embroiled in misconduct, this body is a regulatory body. It makes sure that the judges are in line. Bantu, I'm a judge's Bantu. Don't be misled. Judges are people, just like you and me. The only difference is they are learned. That's all. But they are people. And if they are people, they are prone to inadequacies. They are prone to, in some cases, to be misled. That is the role of the JCC. Now, as you know, the JCC report that's recently come out, it revealed that the commission recommended the dismissal of 3 Concord judges based on the manner that they conducted themselves in the 2016 presidential petition. You remember the 2016 presidential petition. 3 judges without the permission of the judge president. Now, you know, by Hilda Chibomba. She was the judge president at the time, by Hilda Chibomba. Without the permission of Hilda Chibomba, these 3 judges wrote a judgment over the weekend to dismiss the 2026 petition when in fact it was supposed to go to trial. That whole thing was supposed to go to trial. The 3 judges convened, they met, they got together. The word convened means bari kolongana. They rendezvoused. They got together, and over the weekend they wrote and they dismissed the petition when the petition was supposed to go to trial. Now, they claim that no, Hilda Chibomba was aware that they were writing the judgment. They were going to dismiss this thing. Hilda Nabakanat, no, that's not true. Those are just lies. Those chaps are lying. Now, based on that, those judges are tainted. They are tainted. This is the reason P1 has decided to step them aside, because they are tainted. Do you understand that? Do you get that? Tell me in the comments if you understand what I'm talking about. So the point, guys, is this. Don't think for one moment that the president is making haphazard decisions at a whim, at the drop of a hat. Don't think that. This is based on not only strong constitutional recommendation, it's based on fact. Do you understand that? It's based on fact. And so it is prudent, it's prudent that they are stepped aside, they are removed in order to pave way for a clearer position. Do you understand that? So I'm not worried because, you know, if you listen to Makebi Zulu long enough, Makebi Zulu will mislead you. Makebi Zulu, uria ni scare him. Scare him. That chap will mislead you. If you listen to him long enough. He's a friend of mine. Him and I would go to the same church and everything, but when it comes to politics, we're on we're on the opposite sides of the spectrum. He will mislead you if you listen to Makebi. Just look at the facts for what they are, and then you'll get to the bottom of it. Okay? All right. I thought I'd share that with you guys. Thank you so much for listening. God bless. Bye.